Welcome to Overgrow the System for episode 28, Clint from the Liberty Lockdown podcast. Um, you're from California, and I feel like we're going to talk a lot about gardening in California and like all of
Oh
the
man.
easiest ways that I can think of as a non-California slash, somebody that's like extremely far away. The things that I could think of, that's
All
kind of
right,
what I,
school me on the game, brother. Honestly, it's not out of trying and failing that I sound so pathetic when it comes to this. It's purely um laziness. Just being totally honest. Like I have like a half acre of land. I have probably great soil. I'm right by the ocean, by a freshwater lagoon. So this is totally not a product of it like being hard. It's just like I just haven't done it. I'm sorry.
no, don't be sorry, man. And I wouldn't even call it laziness, it's just, um, it's it's a weirdly arcane thing. For some reason, agriculture has just been deleted from society.
It's
Everybody's
true.
pushed down these weird other avenues, and nobody has any sort of um, like It's very rare to find actual people that grew up on a farm with a garden,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, and that's part of just having the mass agriculture operations that supply the majority of the food, and mom and pop farming is basically a thing of the past. I feel like if I smoked pot, I'd probably get into it because then I'd have a real incentive to like get uh some true agorist action or circumvent the state in that regard. But since I don't, my anxiety just doesn't allow for it. I feel like that's probably why I haven't really given it a shot, but I need to. Especially during lockdown, there's no excuse that I didn't.
Well, I mean, you don't have to grow pot. You grow
No, no,
jalapenos.
no. I just mean a garden in general.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what is California like for growing pot, actually?
It's great. It's like the best. That's why California is so famous for their weed.
No, no, I don't mean climate wise. I just mean like law wise. Is it recreational growing there? Are you just allowed any plants or?
It is now. I think that same to like what you were describing, where I think 4 plants or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's probably very similar. So yeah, you
Yeah.
could totally get away with the shenanigans. Actually, should probably be careful. Fuck. Hold on a second. I'm gonna hit the pause button. I guess we're just gonna act like that didn't just happen. Where were we? We were talking about your 4 plant limit. But yeah, you don't really need to grow pot if you don't like pot. Not everybody likes it. It's
I honestly like I love it, but only 10% of the time, and the other 90% is like pure existential angst and crisis. So, do you have any tricks on how to get through that, or do you just like keep going?
Well, I mean, we could talk about that if you'd like. My what I would say is that your tolerance is really low. Like, remember when you were first starting to drink when you were like, 15,
True. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like you would get just shit railed and you'd barf and it'd be the worst experience. But if you did that now, it wouldn't be the same, right? It's
That's true. Yeah. So, but the thing is, like, I'm so sensitive to it, dude. Like a half a hit, especially of Cali weed, I am, you know, out of this universe. It's crazy.
I mean, there's also another incentive to grow your own because odds are it isn't going to be the best first out of the gate,
Right.
right? And that's like perfect for your tolerance. Plus, you can just pick the ones low down on the plant. They're less dank, It's all a easy thing to do. But let's be realistic here. If you don't smoke weed, what do you like? Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you drink tea? Do you like jalapeno? Like it's got to be something.
Yeah. No, I think like salsa, Mexican food down here is really big, and my buddy Matt has a crazy garden, and he's just been everything you could think of. Basically, he's got all these raised beds and stuff. So I have a resource for it. It's just like he spends so much time on it. Honestly, it was like it kind of put me off to it. But given that I really do want to be more self-sufficient and not have to rely on the state, it's a necessary step. I think the other thing that's held me back is I think I mentioned yesterday when we were talking that I might be moving to Puerto Rico next year. So
Yeah,
if that's the case, it's just like, do I really want to get into that now?
exactly. It's hard to put down roots when you don't even know where you're going.
Hmm.
I have that similar problem, but I've kind of learned how to just make everything very mobile. And I mean, you could totally do that. You could just set up pretty much what I got. You just get like a set of wire racks, like in a kitchen,
Hmm.
like a pantry, and then you get your cloth bags on there. You get I mean, for you, because you know, you would never want to tend it. So I would, if I was you, I would set up like a little simple set of drip lines to irrigate it just every morning,
Yeah.
and then, you know, you could walk away for an entire season and then just come back and it'd be amazing, especially in California. Like,
Yeah, no, for sure. I promise by next year I will not be so lacking in this arena. But yeah, for now I'm focused in freedom on other avenues, I guess.
hey, actually, that reminds me, fuck, I've got a pretty good story about some recent like it's actually pretty I haven't figured out how I feel about it yet because it was like a crazy thing. Me and my cousin were out at the dog park and we were just down by the river. And there's this like part of the dog park where the river washes up against the cliff and it's like, you know, just because of geology, like there's rocks there and it's got lots and lots of rocks. And
Hmm.
so there's this part where I couldn't walk across because I got, you know, I have bad feet. And my little cousin, he's like fucking 19. He's unstoppable. He went across, and then I was like, you know what, fuck. And I started throwing rocks, and we started to build a bridge. And between me and him, in like a half hour, we built like a decent like stepping stone path through this part of the river. And you know, that was like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, well, that's pretty freaking cool. I've left like a permanent mark, and every time I come back, I go look at it, and it's awesome. Fuck, there's like a little school of baby fish because it holds water, makes it warm. It was the coolest. Got it, but then today, well, not today. It was like yesterday, but like you know, it was like 2 weeks after that, right? We go back, and there's a fucking another one, like farther down. Some people had like stolen my bucket that I'd like left there, and they kept using it. So that was pretty
Oh
cool. It
wow,
was like, yeah, you put a little root in the ground and it spreads.
that's awesome.
Dude, it was pretty cool. Me and Tom were blown away, and that was just like a very good example of good ideas don't require force. You know, people will just take that and run with it.
That's my whole life's motto. I'm trying. The problem is I'm feeling like more and more force is the only way to get freedom, and I know that seems counterintuitive, but the ever encroaching state, it's like at some point you kind of have to defend yourself. I guess that's not force per se, but self defense is definitely seeming more and more like a necessity. How is it in Canada? Are you guys uh,
I was
locked
gonna
down?
say, I was gonna say it's interesting to be Canadian listening to Americans talk about their government like encroaching on their rights when you know the rights they're talking about I didn't have in the first place.
What rights do you guys not have? I mean, guns are not nearly as free, I'd imagine, but I don't know that. I don't really know much about Canadian politics. I'm the classic American. I only know about American politics.
Well, I'm the same. I only know about Canadian. It's just that's how people are. You know
Yeah,
about
yeah,
your
true.
I don't know. It's not that we're not free to have guns. We just, you know, we have to be registered if you're not like a
Mm,
super felon.
right.
Um, and you know, some crazy people have illegal handguns. We're not far from America, but like that's a Toronto thing, you know, because they're right
Yeah.
across the border. But I don't know. People with I have my gun license. I never really mailed off the paperwork, but I took all the classes because I mean, after I took all the classes, I realized that there was just no way I was going to buy a weapon. It's like they're tracking you, and for the most part, all the fun ones, you have to like call them before you take it out of the safe, and you have to only use it at a range. It's like, well, you kind of ruined that, so I'm not going to really go after
Wow.
that.
All right. Well, that's
Um,
next level. Just so you know, it here you only. Oh, I can only speak for California laws. I'm sure there's other states that don't require this, but here there's a 10-day waiting period to pick up once you buy, and you also have to just pass a written test. But I didn't study for it at all, and I just answered the obvious questions like, do you
yeah,
point the gun at your kid? Like, no, you know.
no,
So you just take that written test and then you wait 10 days and that's all you have to do. I mean, obviously the gun gets registered, they run a background check on you, but as far as like, you know, using it however you want after that, you're pretty much good to go. So it's, but see, by my standards, that's still far too oppressive. So
yeah.
I don't know if
I
you view it
mean,
the same way, but
fuck. I have my conspiracy theories about Canadian gun laws and like the fact that they're sending lots and lots of militarized cops into the parts of Canada that want to separate, and they know where every single weapon is, all the restricted and non-restricted one, and like not everything's like that. That's just the restricted weapons, which is all handguns and all like AR-15s and I couldn't
Wow.
list them all, but a
That's
shotgun
interesting.
or a rifle isn't like that. It's non-restricted. So you
So
can take it out of your safe and go around and hunt with it without telling the cops where you're going. Um,
tell me briefly about the parts of Canada that are interested in separation. I haven't heard about that.
uh, well, you know how for the longest time Texas was a republic,
Yes,
and they're all just like gung ho, fuck this, we're part of Texas, not America.
for sure.
That's more or less similar to what's happening in Alberta and Saskatchewan. I don't know if you know what Canada looks like, but well, I mean, obviously you know what it looks like.
Yeah,
There's one
broadly,
on,
I don't know where each of the provinces or whatever they're called are.
I'll break it down. The one
All right.
on the left with like the curvy part,
Yeah.
that's BC. And that's
Okay.
like Canada's California slash Oregon slash, there's a mix. You can't really write off all of BC because like everything but like a very small corner around Vancouver is very
Hmm.
different. And then
Right.
Vancouver skews all of BC. Um,
All right. Well, that sounds similar to California. It's like LA shifts, basically the rest of it.
and then right next to that one is Alberta, which is where I'm at. It's like the start of the prairies on the east of the Rockies.
Hmm.
Um, and above it's like the Yukon and the Northwest Territories. And to the other side is Saskatchewan. And the Alberta Saskatchewan like chunk in the middle want nothing to do with everything on both sides. Like Ontario to the east and BC to the west. They don't even like us, and we definitely don't like them.
Well,
Um,
what's the beef? Is it just like political ideology, or is there something else to it?
that's everything. Fuck. It goes back to like 1910, man. There's like old ass cartoons of like a cow, this
Wow.
cow that's standing over Canada, and everybody in the West is feeding the head of it grain and doing the work, and everybody in the East is milking it, and they're all wearing tuxedos and top hats and they're big fat cats. It's like this really old political cartoon, but it's like utterly, completely relevant to the day, I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
I don't know. I shouldn't go off on Canada because like nobody really knows about Canada. Plus,
No, it's interesting. That's why I'm asking. Like, genuinely, I follow American politics and I follow global politics, economically speaking. But as far as like the freedom issues in different countries, I'm kind of ignorant to it. So that was really interesting. I didn't know that you guys had any divide. Everyone always like, especially the way Canada talks about America, how we're like all at each other's throats and we're armed and shit. The fact that you guys have some of your own beef is kind of makes me feel better.
yeah, we're not too fond of people out there because like fuck, let me describe our average federal election, right? Because time zones tick to the west as the sun sets, right?
Hmm.
And the way our votes are counted, the east gets counted before our shit's even in, and which means while you're watching it on TV, it's decided before it gets to Alberta, like the whole thing, and it's always based on like downtown Toronto. It's just that's our federal elections because of population breakdowns, I guess. I don't know. Shit's
Okay.
fucked. Super fucked. I kind of want Quebec to separate. That's been a thing for a long time. Did you know about that?
Yeah, because they're French speaking, right? So they wanted to kind of be their own queen monarchy thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that'll be
That's
part
that's
of
my
when
very
everything.
rudimentary understanding of it.
Dude, you know how Australia was like a prison colony for
Sure.
England?
Yeah.
Quebec was that for France?
I was not aware of that. Wow. Are you serious?
Neither was I for a long time, which is crazy because I live here. Um,
That's a trip.
yeah, it is a trip. Fucking, it explains a lot too because Quebec's just like the mafia and it's in everything. Like if you're a carpenter, you have to be like in the dues and you know your place, right? If you're
Right,
going to
right,
build
right.
like a road or a bridge, you have to be fucking deep. It's wild, man.
That is well. Well, that's great because now I can troll Quebecians the same way I troll Australians. Since I didn't know that, that's perfect. Thank you for the ammo.
Yeah, those Quebecois freaks. Nah. I shouldn't, I shouldn't lump anybody into a group. Everybody's just a little individual. But some
Yeah,
groups are ridiculous.
exactly. It's like I'm sure there's decent people in Antifa too, but I'm going to paint with a broad brush when I talk about them. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a pretty funny, relevant point. There's probably some decent people in Antifa that only hate fascists. I'll give them
For
that.
sure. For sure.
But everything else can, fuck itself to death.
Yeah, well, if they didn't want, to usher in communism, I'd probably be on board. But they're not actually against fascism at all. So, yeah, that's where we part ways.
No. If it was minority lives matter and they included the individual, then we'd have a thing to talk about. But it's not like that.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I don't know. Typical. If 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 you're surprised by anything at this point, that's surprising.
uh, yeah, I guess. God, am I surprised by anything anymore? I guess I wasn't really even surprised that Trump got COVID.
People have been saying that for how many weeks? Like
That he was
so
going to get
many
it.
weeks. Yeah, and as a ploy or whatever, I don't give a fuck. But how many times have you heard people talking about Trump getting COVID and then getting better before the debate? Like for months.
Yeah, I think probably the most surprising thing to me over the past 30 days has been that Biden actually went to the debates. I had pretty much convinced myself that like they knew he couldn't possibly talk for over an hour live, and he surprised me. He was able. I don't know what they juiced him up on to get his brain to function long enough, but mission
I know how to
accomplished, I guess.
explain it. I know how to explain it, man. We got baited by propaganda that made him look like a fool. And he wasn't that bad. He just had bad moments.
Yeah. But just the fact that he didn't have a moment where he like dropped an M-bomb or something during the debates is shocking to me because he says such creepy shit, or like I guess as long as there's no kids or women around, like he can control himself for an hour. Plus, I'm sure he was
he had his
prepared for like a
moments.
month straight.
There was that weird moment where he was like asleep, and then the moderator was like, "No, hold on, you have to answer the question I asked." And he was like, "What?" And he kind of like woke up. And then like later on, he had a whole bunch of weird like meltdowny moments. But
For sure. No, I mean, I'm just saying the bar was so low. Like even his stutters and shit were all reasonably high end for his normal delivery. So
I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure, man. I'm not sure. Is the bar low? Have you ever seen a good politician? I mean, all of the good politicians seem like a scam. There was one in Canada where it was like super libertarian, yeah. I went, I actually voted for him. He got like 0.0%. You know, fuck.
Well, yeah, that was my experience with Ron Paul. It's like he's the first and basically only politician that I ever thought was telling me the truth, and I still believe that to this day. And yeah, he never had much of a chance either. But
Dude, I
that's
don't even give Bernier that much. I'm sure that French fuck has some sort of corruption, but I'm okay with his idea of it. He's got like a very free market sort of Canada needs to go back to land of the free sort of shit. So I don't know. I got baited, but I'm probably not going to vote next time. That's just a bad idea in Canada.
who's the other option besides
There are none.
blackface?
Technically, the conservatives. People are
But they're
going to
not.
all of the people are going to about me being against the conservatives because it's the opposition to Trudeau, just like Trump. People say like you got to vote for Biden to get Trump out. Like everybody in Alberta says that same shit about the conservatives to get Trudeau out because Trudeau's are evil and Trump's are evil, right? Or like they're
Yep.
evil.
Yep.
And I mean, yeah, Trudeau's a fucker, and they've basically shut down almost all of Alberta. It's crazy how many people are unemployed. There's like hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs recently. It's bad, man. All the companies are leaving Alberta to go other countries because everything's not fucked in other countries. It's
Is that a product of just the general economy or lockdown principles or policies?
it's just that's a policy of our federation. It's all run by the East. They have all the power, and when they vote in the Liberals run it their way.
Right.
And I mean, recently we did have the Conservatives in. We had Harper, and he was doing shitloads of stuff for Alberta and nothing for the East, and that's why they're like lashing out back at us. It's a zoo. You just sit back and watch the monkeys kill each other until there's nothing to eat and you die.
Well, this sounds like a great argument for secession, and I really think that that's the only peaceful path is to just allow like the 50 states to go their own separate ways. But it's not going to be
Agreed.
peaceful. It's not going to be peaceful because the federal government and the leftist
but
government loving folks won't allow for it.
yeah, but it doesn't have to be so maniacal. They could like if people are in a marriage where they're throwing shit at each other and breaking holes in the doors, they get a divorce and they don't
Right.
go to war. I mean, some do. I'm, you know,
Exactly.
but
I'm the type that breaks up easy. I don't want to go to war, so I would like to do that. I just don't see it happening without a fight.
yeah, I mean, shit's crazy, especially with women. But let's not get into that.
I meant politically, but yeah, I guess that's true too.
Yeah, I just meant in my life. It's because I have terrible, terrible taste.
You and me both, brother. I'm recently broken up, so I got to figure out how to pick better moving forward.
Yeah, I've just decided to stop picking for a while. I know I'm not trustworthy.
Yeah, I've been doing some self-reflection too. I'm pretty trustworthy, but definitely it's very tough because I lived on my own for like 4 years in between girlfriends, and now I don't know if I'm capable of like homesteading with another person. I've become too my autonomy is too overvalued at this point. It sucks.
It's crazy to think that you might be picking somebody for the apocalypse. You know, you gotta like pick a
Really
strong
though.
somebody strong, pull the plow.
I gotta get a big broad-shouldered lady in my life.
Like full on Hutterites. Do you get? Well, I mean, you have Amish, and I know there's like lots of Mennonites down there, but I think Hutterites might be a Canadian thing. Do you know about Hutterites?
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I don't know much.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about them a bunch on the podcast. They're just like these colonists that have like crazy homemade clothes, and they're just like that, you know,
Mhm.
big people.
Unfortunately, I'm attracted to a more slight woman, so I'm just gonna have to get one that's really, really strong for her size.
Whatever floats your boat. I mean, you can pull a plow.
Yeah, oh, I can definitely. So as long as I'm functioning, I'll just need some child rearing lady.
This is such a creepy conversation.
I know
We
it's
should go
really
back to
weird.
planting orange trees and apple seeds.
Well, I used to have a house in Escondido, which is like farm country part of San Diego, and I had avocado trees and orange trees, and I didn't really have to do shit for them, so that was great.
Well,
But I bought.
that's part of
What's
like the
that?
whole idea is to make it like a lasagna. You know, the trees are like the top bit, then you can do like the middle bit with like the irrigation I was talking about. So that you got to do very little work, but it's like a good. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you there, but trees are
That was
one of
fun.
my favorite things. It's how you like
Yeah, no, that's
build
the
them.
route I would go if I were to retry.
They also make like a little climate around them. You know, makes everything else grow happier. I don't fucking understand it, but it's part of just nature. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. You know, if you just had like a just an empty moon and there was one plant, or like 100 plants in a cluster, it'd be like, I don't know, happier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it works either, but the trees were all in a line and they were all kicking ass. They produced like crazy. I had to give stuff away rapidly so otherwise it would rot. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, these were like probably 20 or 30-year developed trees, so um, starting from scratch would be a different thing. But it was a very cool experience. I had 1.7 acres of land and I didn't plant anything else, and that would probably be horrifying to you, but you would have loved this parcel, man. It was so crazy. It was just
I
huge.
don't
All
judge, man. It's not horrifying to me. You
no,
were
no. I just mean like anytime I talk to someone who's got a green thumb, and I'm like, yeah, I had 1.7 acres, and I had two fruit producing trees. They're like, what the fuck were you doing? I was like, well, I wasn't doing anything. If I'm being honest, I was working a 9 to 5.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It does make me cringe because that would be like, I mean, although I don't know what California is like. I shouldn't talk about California like I fucking understand it. If it's too hot for some shit, then like, but I bet you it's perfect for like the
Oh no,
majority.
it's perfect, dude. It's perfect. Like everything you hear. I mean, I can't speak for all of California because obviously it's a very multi-dimensional climate, but San Diego in particular is just absurd how phenomenal the weather is. That's the only reason I'm still here. I'm born and raised here, 38 years old. I absolutely despise the government, but I haven't left because you cannot find a better climate on earth. It's like 70 degrees in the winter. It's just perfect all the time.
I'm kind of similar. You know, I hate everything about the fucking government and generally most of society, but I couldn't leave. This is like where I'm from, what I like, everything around,
Yeah.
the winter, the fall. My dog's happy. It's a,
You like the winter, huh?
I used to. Now, not so much. Winter kind of sucks now because when I walk on the snow, my feet get cold and I can feel the metal in them, and it's like, why am I here? But yeah,
Oh,
it's the only,
did you have to get? Oh, because you had those implants from breaking your legs, right?
yeah, I got 31 screws in my feet, like 16 in one and 15 in the other.
Oh yeah, so real harsh cold would be brutal on that. It is real harsh cold where you're at, right?
Yeah, it's minus 40, minus 50 sometimes.
Whew, boy. All right, yeah. No, thank you.
Just this, it's the same in Fahrenheit and Celsius. That's why I say that one. It's mostly minus 20 Celsius. Like it hits that dead and plateaus. But I honestly can't.
Jesus.
I don't know. Minus 15 isn't so bad. You can get around in a hoodie in minus 15 if it's not windy.
Oh my god. I don't think I can, dude.
Well, um, I can't really talk about the winter though. It's totally fucked these days. The last like 3 years, we've had like ice rain for a long time, and then it didn't get a cold snap until like way, way, way later. And then the cold snap stayed for like much longer. It's fucking strange, dude.
I,
Um,
ice rain? I've never even heard of that. Is that not snow? What is ice rain?
no, it's worse. It's when the water
Oh,
from the sky is frozen and everything it hits it freezes on, but it doesn't freeze until it hits something.
oh shit. All right.
It's fucked to drive on. It just
Yeah,
ruins the highway.
I bet, dude. That's like black ice everywhere.
Yeah, it's what happens when it's not quite cold enough for snow, but it is on the ground. So
Hmm.
it's just like a cold climate, but the air is like tepid.
I got you. I got you.
Fucking weird.
Well, it goes to show how much I know. You're born and raised in San Diego. You don't know anything about cold weather. That's probably why I'm most highly looking towards Puerto Rico because I can actually, prepare for that climate because it's like 80 degrees all year round instead of 70. So,
Well, let's dive into this. Let's dive into your crazy climate, even though I know nothing about it. So, first of all, my favorite thing that I've ever read in a book was about eucalyptus trees. Apparently, you definitely need to grow eucalyptus trees because they create like this beautiful rainforest around them, like that bioclimate I was talking about. Like eucalyptus
mhm.
trees, apparently the best, and especially like on the coastlines.
Okay.
If I was you, I
My
would do
my dad's got
eucalyptus.
some, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and they grow like insane. It's just probably like the fastest thing you could do.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden around that, I don't know, what could you grow? You could grow, obviously, you could plant pot plants, you could plant pepper plants, tomato plants, all that stuff. But I could help you set up irrigation. I could talk you through that.
Yeah. Well, if I end up staying in this house, I will be talking to you about it. If I end up selling in 6 months, just brief backstory. I'm a real estate developer and also a mortgage broker. So um, I'm building 6 houses right now. And if I'm able to get them completed and sold before kind of the economic shit hits the fan, I'm going to get the fuck out of here because I'm just going to take my money and run. Um, if I
That's
don't,
huge.
yeah, it'd be great. And if I don't, and the market takes a shit, and I end up having to hold them as rentals long term, then I'll probably stay here. In which case, I'll be talking to you about a little bit more gardening.
Wow, you could have six of these things going on, man. You
No, no,
know,
no, 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 no. With the tenants, I don't think I would have gardens. That'd be pretty tough.
it's easy. Get your downspout going. Oh, does it rain ever? Like never, right?
No, no, no. It does. It just, I mean, I think by most climate standards, it would be considered arid, but it rains a decent amount in the winter.
Like if you put a bucket under your downspout, do you have downspouts on your house?
I do not.
Interesting.
Well, do you mean like gutters with?
Yeah,
I
like
guess
where
it's
it comes off
downspout.
your roof, where it comes down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I do. Yeah. See, this is how often it rains. I don't even know where it's at. I have to go walk around and look.
All right, well then maybe you couldn't irrigate just like something simple with like a bucket under there and a little drip line. Um, but that would be pretty easy to do if you did
Yeah,
have that.
that's true. Yeah, I'm sure I could, especially during the winter. But yeah, during the summer we don't get much rain. That's for sure. So I'd have to have a separate irrigation system to keep things alive.
Um, I mean, that's pretty easy to set up. That's what I was gonna walk you through. But screw that. Let's talk more about money because you know a lot about money, and I know almost nothing about money. I can't even do math. I have like if there's a form of dyslexia that involves numbers, that's totally me.
I'm sure there's a term for it, but I don't know what it is.
Not a clue, but I couldn't do long division or anything. It's just like not happening. I left school for a reason. You know, so but the thing you know most about is like this quantitative easing, the zero inflation rate. I mean, fuck, if I'm realistic, maybe I should talk. Nah, fuck, I shouldn't talk to you about personal financing information to my own benefit. At least
We
not
can
on
do we
recording.
can do that separately though.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of like dive me through what the fuck the Fed has done by turning the debt up by like times four in the
Trillions,
past year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's really I understand it deeply, but it's very hard to convey because first and foremost, this is a historical anomaly. We've never had this level of debt, especially globally. So we don't really know how it plays out other than a collapse. Like I don't know how long it can be sustained because it's never been sustained to this level in the first place. So
And
the
it's
timing,
crazy. Sorry to interrupt you, but the crazy thing, we were talking about this last time we tried to record this podcast. The crazy thing is there's this like absolutely new species of problem that the government has created with this lockdown. Like
yep,
that didn't happen any of the other times, I guess. I don't know. Did they lock down the economy in the Great Depression? Like,
no,
no.
absolutely not. And they didn't lock down the economy during the Spanish flu in 1918 either. So this is truly an experiment on top of an experiment. Like we've never had global debt margins at this rate, where basically every developed country is backbreakingly in debt. So that's new. And then on top of that, we're a globalized economy, which has never happened in history before because we didn't have all the technology necessary to trade with each other. So that's new. And then we've also never locked down the economy, especially for a tepid virus. So that's new. So these three things
Especially globally, like one
yes,
country, but not like every country.
exactly. And that's why it's so different. It's like the trident of dystopia. And I don't know how long it can last. Like I said, because I don't have any historical precedent from which to draw upon to be like, okay, this is how it plays out. I can look at like the fall of the pound in England. I can look at different examples of the former reserve currencies of the world and how they fell apart. But most of
Weimar
them,
Germany.
yeah. But well, Weimar wasn't actually the reserve currency of the world, but still, yeah, you can use examples like that to understand the likely outcome where it's like, okay, is hyperinflation that probably going to occur? I think it will. Will deflation happen prior? I also think it will. So that's why
It's gonna
conveying
go
this is so
down and then
complicated.
way up.
Exactly. So because what's important with money is even when there's a ton of supply, and this is kind of a Keynesian argument, but they're actually right on this. When monetary velocity slows down, and monetary velocity is just a fancy term for how fast money is circulating through the economy. So when monetary velocity slows down, that means that even if the government is printing tons of cash, it's not actually funneling through the economy. That's what we're experiencing now because of the lockdown. So they've printed and lent trillions of dollars to politically tied corporations and banks and everything else. But it's not really creating inflation on the ground yet because that money isn't circulating. So when the economy comes back online, that's when inflation runs hot, is how the Fed would talk about it. And then they'll try and pull stimulus back to prevent a hyperinflationary death spiral. I don't think that they'll be successful. So that's what I'm preparing for.
Right.
Did any of that make sense?
Kind of. I mean, the
Okay.
way it's been explained to me before is that all of the money that they're printing, worst case scenario goes into like, Mr. Monopoly in the top hat, but best case scenario goes into impoverished single mother. And she takes this money that she has access to and she hoards it. She saves as much as she fucking humanly can. And then when the economy of these people reaches like a critical mass where they're finally like, there's breathing room and they can spend that money, that's
Mm-hmm.
when the inflation goes woof. I mean, that's how I was explaining
Yeah.
it before.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair analogy. I mean, obviously getting money to the lower rungs of society in terms of spending is where inflation will actually pick up dramatically, but it can happen anyways even without them actually getting just higher pay if they're borrowing. And that's been the mechanism that the Fed has opted for in order to try and stimulate inflation. And it has worked, but only for those that can attain it. You know, like myself, I have good credit and income, so I can go to the bank and I can borrow for basically nothing. That single mother you're talking about can't do that. So how
I
does
can't borrow
she?
from a bank. Not a
Right.
chance.
Yeah, a lot of people can. And so how do those people benefit from the government largesse? They don't. They don't at all.
I
And
haven't.
yeah, exactly. And that is my argument against Federal Reserve, quantitative easing, financial stimulus is that, you know, first and foremost, it's immoral on its face, but secondarily, it creates ever increasing economic inequality, you know, because the haves continue to get more. Like I'm able to go out and borrow $2 million to build 6 houses to sell them for $4 million. And then I make a, million plus profit. Whereas that single mom has no access to capital whatsoever. What's she going to do? She's going to benefit not at all from all these bills that they're passing. So she's going to be responsible for the same national debt I am, but she gets none of the benefit, and it's fucked.
I'd never thought about it like that. That's true. Fucking debt and how they use it as real money, even though you got to pay it off. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you use it for economic benefit, it does make sense if you do it that way. Most people don't know how to do it that way because they haven't been given any economic understanding from public education or from their family. They're taught to borrow money to consume. I've been taught to borrow money to invest. And,
Right.
you know, it's still risky. Like I still am taking on tremendous risk by borrowing money to invest in things, but it's way less risky than just borrowing that money to buy a fucking, Ferrari. Like then I have a depreciating asset. Hopefully what I'm trying to do is borrow money cheap, invest it into appreciating assets like real estate, and then sell them before the world ends. So that's kind of what my podcast is all about, is just like explaining kind of what I've done in my financial experience in my career to get to where I've got, and then using the ideas of Austrian economics and libertarianism to convey that to other people that don't know about it.
Are you big into Bitcoin and all that stuff?
I intend to be. I have not been. I missed the boat. I had an opportunity to get into it when it was like fucking $5 per Bitcoin, and I laughed it off like an idiot. And then I watched it run to 20,000, and now it's back to 10. And I'm, I want to diversify, probably get like 10% of my portfolio into it, but I want to do it on a pullback, and hopefully I'll have that opportunity when all my assets get sold, early next year.
If
What about you?
things just miraculously nah, I mean, back in the day when I just lost a job, I had put out a GoFundMe to save my crippled ass. One of the ANCAPs was like, nah, I'm not going to give you real money, but I will help you figure out Bitcoin, and I'll send you like a chunk of Bitcoin and you can play with it and try to make it bigger. And I mean, I did all right. I made it a couple of decimals bigger. But it's and then it fucking right down.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, crypto is a very interesting invention, product, whatever you want to call it, technology, some people call it. I'm still not sold on it, simply because there's nothing proprietary really. Like it's like, okay, yeah, you have Bitcoin, which there will only be 21 million of, so it's limited supply, but you can create,
Another
Bitcoin
coin.
2, 3, 4 to
Oh,
infinity.
I know. It's totally weird. And I mean, that was like one of the weirdest things that I had to wrap my head around, is that it didn't actually matter how the price was ranked against the Canadian dollar, because I was capable of switching it in between these other coins, right? So you don't need to use actual fiat if like cryptocurrencies are changing against each other. It's fucking weird, man. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, you and me both, man. I know a lot about economics and I know a lot about investing, but as far as Bitcoin goes, I am a novice. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, it's something that I'm trying to learn because I was given a free opportunity to, and it's not so hard actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish someone would do that for me. No, I'm just kidding. I could get it. I could get in there on my own if I wanted to right now, but I think I'll be able to take the plunge like next March. So God willing, it'll still it'll dip to like 5,000, so I don't have to pay such a crazy amount to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have had better luck. So, I mean, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 38. So
38. So yeah, you're 10 years ahead. But you've definitely done a much more wise approach. I've kind of taken rocky paths.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, at 28, I was just graduating college, and I didn't make like hardly anything until I was 32. So, and then from 32 to 38, I've just made a killing. So it's like it's never too late, man. Just keep it rolling.
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't dropped out, I probably wouldn't have been injured, and that would have been a whole different story. But I kind of like my story. I don't mind it.
Yeah,
It put me in a weird position for this strange apocalypse.
chicks dig scars.
Fuck. My scars are on my heel skin. You know that like thick skin. It's like you
Wow,
can't really see it, even though it's like heinous. But you can feel the screws at places.
that's a trip. Do you have a normal gait? Like, do you walk
Some days.
fine? Some days, yeah. If it's too cold, probably.
It's not so much as like if I like do a lot of work the day before, or weirdly, if I don't get like a good sleep, I'll like wake up and my feet are like rigid. I
Oh
gotta
wow.
walk for like an hour before I'm back to normal. It's fucking weird, man.
Well, since I'm 38, my knees are starting to go from basketball and beach volleyball. So I'll join you here soon.
Yeah, I kind of fell off that roof right into my 50s, uh, which was
Oh
stupid to
shit,
do. I
that's a
was
good way
I
to put
was
it.
like I was 26. Terrible, terrible timing.
Hell yeah.
Uh, Whatever. Fuck it. Life's hard, and then you die.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've kind of just leaned back and accepted it. Life is what it is. It doesn't bother me.
Well, good. That's a good way to look at it. You want to get real existential? What do you think happens when we die?
I think I have to have a bong rip for that one. Um, yeah, shit. I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us here, but
No, I mean, I might actually have a bong rip, but to actually go on that topic, I'm not. Like for a while, I was like a militant atheist, like, lights out, just black, your dirt food.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know, man. I've grown out of that, I guess you would say. Not that I'm judging anybody that believes that, but personally, I don't know. I just
Have you done hallucinogens?
a bunch, yeah,
Okay,
but
because
nothing recently. Way back in my crazier days when I was like, you know,
same. Yeah, I did them when I was in college, a decent amount, and man, I went from hard atheist to agnostic basically after one dose. I was like, okay, yeah, there's something else. I don't know what it is, but there's something else. And I haven't even done ayahuasca, which apparently is like, leaving your body to the spirit realm. So I figure if I were to do that, I'd probably believe in God after that. So, yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying I believe in some sort of, you know, father figure to us all in the clouds, but I wouldn't really even say it was hallucinogens, man. It's just like walking around in some bullshit that nobody else has ever been. It's like pristine wilderness. Just like as soon as I do that, I'm like struck with like some sort of sacredness. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I don't want to ruin it. Like I like it. I want to make it better if I could.
yeah, I think that's even because I'm so sensitive. Even with pot, if I'm in nature, like you can feel a higher level of connection to it almost. But definitely with shrooms, I felt like my mind actually was like drawing connections between everything that I hadn't really considered before. I remember like really vividly this one thought I had where I was like, I was like, I don't even know where electricity comes from. And then I was like, but I'm made of it. And then that was like really profound. And that thought stuck with me forever. I don't know why. It's like it's one of those things that's really interesting when you're high, but probably not when you're not. I don't know.
I mean, electricity is kind of magic. It comes from spinning magnets and like a force field. I couldn't explain it any better than that. It's magic.
Yeah. And it's also what makes our heart beat. Like it's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. It's everything that goes on, every thought.
And then it comes out of our outlets and we like don't even really most of us don't even understand how it gets there. It's just a trippy concept. This is the most appropriate bong rip break I've ever participated in. Follow me at Liberty Lock Pod. I'll, I'll use this as an opportunity for a plug.
Good timing. That is a good timing for a plug.
See, just that magnitude of a hit, and I'd be like, everyone hates me, and I would be reflecting on my own temporal nature. You
Not,
don't have that impact or that
not
effect.
really. Not really. I mean,
Just makes you feel good.
it's kind of funny. Fuck. Weed to me, I've used it to a point where, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't get stoned. I definitely get stoned, but I'm like functioning. And what it does is like, 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds after, I just totally have a different feel in my entire like legs. Everything from my toes to my knees, it's just like it's weird, man. Like I couldn't tell you that I remember before. I don't know what it felt like before. And I wouldn't even describe what I walk around with 24/7 as like pain. But then when I take a bong rip, there's like a definite change. And I'm light on my feet, I walk around. And it's just also better to be stoned if you don't have a job and you.
But what's it do for you, like mentally? Do you still get an elation from it, or
It depends on the strain. I tend to aim for weed that is more of like a sativa heavy, where I'm more active, and then not really. I mean, right now I have a pretty low tolerance because I didn't have weed for like 4 days. Then I got some more for free, which is sweet. But it pays to have good friends, and like I've helped a lot of people set up their grows. So this is just the agorism that we all try to aim at.
yeah, it pays dividends?
I don't know. I definitely wouldn't say it does nothing. That would be like the most arrogant thing. But I've compared it before to alcohol. Like people
Yeah,
that drink a lot of alcohol, they're super alcoholics, like drug addict people that drink alcohol.
right.
Um, they drink what, like a fucking 40 of whiskey, and they don't get wasted.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for sure. That just makes them feel normal and like stop their
yeah,
hand from shaking.
they
Do you think you're
need
at that
to.
level with pot?
No, I'm not saying I'm addicted. And when I do stop, I don't have any sort of like withdrawal.
Okay.
Actually, the weirdest hard part about stopping smoking weed is that the whole time you do, there's like this thing in the back of your head where you're like, I'm doing this for like no reason. Why am I doing this? You know? But maybe that is the addiction.
I don't know. For me, it's. I mean, I have to. I can't even touch a fucking sativa because my mind races as it is, and a sativa just puts it into hyperdrive. So indica for me is the only thing that I even have a chance of enjoying. And sometimes it's unbelievable, and it makes me think that food has never tasted better than it ever. I got like, I remember this one time I got, because this is how few positive experiences I've had on weed. I can actually remember them and tell stories about it. I got high with my girlfriend back in like 2009, and I got Ben and Jerry's banana split ice cream, and I was like, each bite I could like really pick out the different toppings from a banana split, and I was like, I could never do that sober. It would just be like a blur. So, do you still get any positive ramifications, like food tasting more potent and shit like that?
I mean, no, it doesn't make food taste any different.
Damn
But
it.
if I take a big break, then I get just stoned as everybody else.
Oh, okay.
It's your tolerance level, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, I don't know. It's better because it has less side effects. I could take a bunch of Tylenol every day, but then that blows out your kidneys or whatever.
Yes, it does.
It's
sure.
bad for you. I say it from experience, and it makes you like constipated. It's not good for you.
Yeah. No, if I mean, especially with the pain killing needs that you have, I would say it's the best path you could take.
If I was smart, I would do edibles or some sort of concentrate and like a pill, but I don't really do like the pure straight up CBD medical thing. I've never claimed to be a purist for medical. I'm a recreational pothead. I like weed, you know.
Hey, nothing wrong with it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I always was, even before I was injured.
Dude,
But
I wish I could smoke weed. I really do. Like, because I kind of have to drink to, if I'm gonna go party, because other friends will get high and shit. And you pay a way steeper price for booze the next day than you do pot. That's for sure.
It's a fact. It's a worse drug, and that's like an interesting thing that people in society, for some reason, don't really mention. That you have like two paths: you either smoke weed or drink, and it seems that people either do one or the other. And I didn't know that. I didn't consciously pick this path. It's just a thing.
Yep.
But I don't really drink. I mean, I do drink sometimes, but when I do, I get fucking wasted. I'm like the biggest lightweight.
I basically took like the past year off from drinking for the most part. Thank God, because if I was drinking heavy during lockdown, I don't even know if I would have survived.
Yeah.
Did you guys get locked down like us?
Realistically, no. I mean,
Wow.
but I'm a weird case. You're not talking to the right person, because when lockdown happened, I was living in an RV on a gravel road on Crown land that nobody owned, and I was just working nearby. So I didn't get locked down, obviously, but it was extremely inconvenient. There was no public pool for me to use a shower. Like I had to fucking totally adjust my plan. But I wore a mask once because I had to go to the hospital, and they were like, "No, you're not allowed in here if you're not wearing the mask." But I didn't even put it over my nose, and I wore it upside down because I'm an asshole like that.
So am I. I wear it around my chin as often as possible.
Well, I mean, coronavirus is definitely, it's a new strain of a coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
COVID, I should have said. But fuck. Should we even get into this one? I guess we could. I actually got into a super huge argument in my family, and my grandpa's really mad at me, and it was ridiculous. But if old people are being led to believe that me walking around without a mask is actually killing them, like that was what the argument was about. I was telling them, like, you're being divided, you fools. And that got me a lot of backlash. It was weird. And then they called me a Trumper, and I was just like, I'm done talking about this.
They call people Trumpers in Canada?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not with them, you're against them, right?
Holy sh! Yeah, but I mean, that's crazy that an American politician would that would be pejorative even in Canada. Like I never even considered that. That's trippy.
Dude, honestly, the most cringe is actually finding the Trumpers in Canada. Like when they're super MAGA in here, it's like so fucking weird. Like, it's weird down there, I'm sure.
Yeah, but they fly like MAGA flags and shit up there?
No, but like the hat, and they're all like, "Go Trump, make America great." Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. They
fucking people, yeah, they're up here too. Yeah.
Whoa, dude, you're blowing my mind right now.
Well, yeah, that shit's fucked. We pay a lot of attention to what goes on in America, I guess. But I can't vote.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I know, exactly. Like that's why it's a trip that people would even care. It'd be like me caring about Trudeau in a real meaningful way. It's like he has no impact on my life. I guess America.
Weird, man. Obama tweeted and endorsed Trudeau. Like, I don't know how that works. It's like,
yeah, I don't know how that's not foreign election manipulation in its own right.
But it's not, because anybody that would buy that is already going to. Like, I don't even know obviously neither of us would believe in some sort of politician being the right answer. It's just.
Well, I disagree. Ron Paul. Ron Paul is
but he's not really a politician. He's more like the nuclear bomb that takes rid of most of the politicians.
That's a good way to put it. He would have been. That's why I love him so much, because he was just like, yeah, I want to end everything. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do too, dude. Like, please get in power, end everything. That's why I get in some fights with anarchists sometimes that are like, they're like, if you vote at all, you're condoning my slavery. And I'm like, dude, I only ever vote to end your slavery. Like, otherwise I don't vote. So I don't understand how we're enemies, but whatever.
Quite frankly, I have begun to realize why there is a custom of not talking about who or what you vote for, and that like confidentiality exists as a courtesy for good reason in society.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to
divide our families for sure.
Personally do in conversations about what goes on. Like,
it's
it has nothing
tough
to do with it.
It's tough because if you're kind of a collapsitarian like I am, you view, everyone's voting decisions as leading to your ultimate cultural demise. So it's like, it's concerning. So if someone, basically the way I handle it is like, if someone approaches me and wants to talk politics, I'm definitely not going to shut up. Like I will tell them everything I think, but I will not be the one that begins the conversation, So that's like, they can start it, I'll finish it is kind of how I handle it.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't even really talk about politics because it's Canada. What's the point?
Yeah. Well, my family's so divided. It's crazy. My grandma was like hard Bernie Sanders supporter. My mom's, kind of a Trumper. My dad's libertarian. My stepdad's kind of a Trumper too. Even though he voted for Obama. I don't know. Everyone's fucking divided and everyone's at each other's throats. And it's just really sad. So the good thing about being a libertarian and cap, whatever you want to call me, is that I can get along with both sides because like I hate the opposite side just as much as they do. But it's
funny though because you can take hate from both sides equally for
yes,
hating their side. It's
exactly.
weird.
So I've never really appreciated, but from my vantage point, like it's okay. I just kind of try and use whatever they believe in to explain why they should also, extrapolate that out. It doesn't work usually, but I try.
Fucked in 2020. It's
really bad, man.
It's crazy. I mean, the scariest thing is like, in the end months of 2019, people are making jokes about how, we're going back into the 20s. Hope we don't have an economic crash and riots and a plague. And then fucking 2020 happens. We have all of them and shit goes absolutely as wrong as like it's possible to have conceived in all of like the worst plotting of conspiracy
other than a world war. Yeah,
well,
2020's been.
But do you count what's going on between India and China or Armenian, whatever the fuck that other one's called with that?
Azerbaijan, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like what does the history of the beginning of other wars look like? Is it a trickle into a big, because there's fighting, there's people being shot, like.
No, it always starts small and then grows. So I agree. Like we may be on the path to a world war. You won't know until hindsight.
Or on the path to a Napoleon or a fucking Caesar who just, military junta takes control of the fucking tanks and rolls, and we have a huge problem.
There's only one country that has the economic power to do that, and that would be China.
Well, fuck, I don't know. It's insane.
But it's a real possibility. Like I'm genuinely.
I'm more talking like left, like blue versus red in America. Like.
Oh well, in terms, I mean, because I wouldn't view that as a Napoleon threat because that has the connotation of like
kick it off, right? Then somebody's Napoleon's both, right?
Yeah, no, it could happen, but that would I view it more likely that we end up in a civil war than we do a dictator that tries to like expand America into the rest of the world. Like we've already been an expansive empire for the past 50, 60 years.
I didn't even mean America. I just mean the worldwide craziness that's going on. It's got a
okay, yeah. Well, it's possible.
Crazy looking ending, in my view, I guess.
Yeah, it's possible for sure. I mean, that's why I kind of rally against this shit, because I'm trying to prevent what I fear could be, in the pipe, so to speak. But I don't know, man.
It's a great time to not pay your taxes because they're probably against you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's there's a real compelling moral argument to not pay taxes, and
not even just more like survival. You just don't want these people to be more equipped. They're terrifying. They're the enemy.
That's definitely true. The problem in America though is because we are the reserve currency of the world. They can just print it. So even if I don't pay until the US dollar loses its purchasing power, they have all the ammunition in the world to fucking destroy me. So,
well, and like you were saying earlier with debt, like that's one of the craziest things. As soon as you take out a loan, the government pretends that total sum is in the economy as real money, even though you've only paid off $1.
Yeah,
if that.
Yeah, I mean that they definitely are not using generally accepted accounting principles when they talk about economic stability in this country. It's fucked.
Well,
But that's a global issue, really.
how sure are you that it will collapse within like a year?
Not sure in a year. I'm not.
Not like the charts, you know, like how the stock market's up and everything else is down. Like, where does that sort of pie chart meet again? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we started this conversation off. Is that I know how this ends. I don't know when it ends.
yeah,
So, like, if I had to guess, I'd say they've already successfully kicked the can. Like, we should have had an economic just absolute fucking implosion in March when they shut down the global economy. Like, if all the central banks in the world didn't print money how they did and aggressively stimulate economies, we would be in a depression right now. So
well,
they've
we kind of
delayed.
are. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
at
we
least this
are
region,
anyways.
like
Yeah,
the region I'm in is definitely in a depression. It's
for
guaranteed,
sure.
like, by the unemployment and all that jack shit that I know nothing about. But people around here talk about it as the depression. It's already
Yeah.
here.
No, I agree. I'm saying, like, I'm talking about depression with like food lines, you know, where it's like, okay, people are starving. You have the Dust Bowl and the farmlands are fucking arid. Like, everything gets totally fucking destroyed. We dodged that with government stimulus, in my view. But we are in a depression. It's just a mild one at this point. So when does it get severe? When does everyone feel it to the point that they actually want to rise up and do something about it? That's the question. And I think that it'll happen definitely within probably 10 years, maybe less than 5. And there's a not non-zero chance that it happens over the next 12 months. But that's why I'm trying to fucking liquidate all my assets and move into different currencies and cryptos and everything else, is because I see I see the writing on the wall. Like, I see the shit flying at the fan. I'm just trying to get out of the way.
It's absolutely wild to think that it's that fast. Like, I've always kind of been not a conspiracy theorist, but a pessimist, I guess you could say, about the potential, because like if you look at it, it's ridiculously run. Like, there's like 7 people standing around leaning on a shovel while one dude fills in a hole. That's like a metaphor for how every part of the government works, top to bottom. And you're telling me that you don't see a problem at all? We're just gonna go with this.
Yeah.
It's funny how many people just ignore everything and go about their daily lives, but it seems to work. The government shuts down for some amount of time. Everything goes on as normal.
It's fucking crazy, man. I had my mind blown over the past 6 months, because I really thought that shutting down the economy, regardless of stimulus, I thought that we would see massive destruction, you know, and we saw a good amount, don't get me wrong, but I thought it would be like fucking everywhere, and it wasn't. So the stimulus did work in that regard, and they didn't lock down hard enough that like the supply chain completely stopped. So I think that prevented most of the destruction that I expected to happen. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to pay the price down the road, because you can't borrow this amount of money. I mean, we just passed $27 trillion in U.S. debt. I don't even know Canada's, but it's bad.
Yeah, Trudeau's just printing money too, I guess.
Probably.
It's probably a little worse. They're definitely going to do that UBI thing here, I think, or something. I'm not really sure, but the debt just, it's just like yours. In like recent times, it's tripled. What the heck happened? Did I lose you? So the Wi-Fi went out. Hopefully I found a place to edit the other stuff out, but this is probably just a really good time for you to introduce yourself, my friend.
Oh, are we recording?
Yeah, I clicked the button. Welcome to Overgrow the System. Welcome to the typical nonsense.
This is Clint with Liberty Lockdown Podcast. I'm a longtime mortgage broker, entrepreneur, and second-gen libertarian / now probably more ANCAP. But thanks for having me on, man.
Welcome. I looked it up. We're on episode 28. So,
I knew that.
That's awesome. We're getting up there. We're almost on 30, Fuck, I'm 29 years old, so as soon as it's over 29, I think I've done something, It's
it'll be your golden podcast episode.
Anyway, welcome. I'm not really very well versed in economics at all, but I will try to ask you questions about what's going on, because we're in like extremely interesting times.
Sure.
At some point, I'll probably have to go get my dog too, so we'll take a little bit of a break for that. She's staring in the window at me, and I forgot that her food bowl is right beside me. So that's the thing.
We can take a break anytime. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, just fucking the world's on fire, and it seems like you have a little bit more insight into like the breakdown of that than me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people see the world being on fire as an exclusively a political process, or kind of the driving force behind it. And I think that moreover, the economic destruction is really what's driving most of this. So yeah, I could definitely shed some light on kind of my theories as to why.
I actually kind of have a question now that you've reminded me. Um, I wonder what like the supply chain breakdown that happened here, nobody would have predicted. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because of all these lockdowns, there's like a whole new monkey in this circus that's doing strange shit. Like, what is that all about? Like,
Yeah, the I mean, obviously having global lockdowns, the way the economy is now structured. I mean, back in the 50s, 40s, most of the country's economies were nationally based, whereas now we're almost exclusively a globalist economy. So when you have other countries locking down where we receive most of our materials from which we build whatever shit we build, uh, that's that entire supply chain breaking down globally has caused tremendous strain. Actually, not as much as I expected. I thought that we would have like food shortages and all sorts of crazy shit, but I think they didn't lock it down for long enough for that to occur. But what did occur is you're seeing really high prices in like lumber and materials and things of that nature. So we're experiencing inflation in that regard. Well, everyone's home and not able to work. Not everyone, but you know, half the population for 3 or 4 months. We haven't experienced as much deflation as we probably should, and I think it's a product of, you know, limited supplies of goods that we would normally have access to.
everybody's doing a deck building project, so we ran out of lumber and toilet
Mm-hmm.
paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, it's funny how thin the veneer was of like what everything could handle. Um, one of my friends on Twitter said this funny thing that it was super true. It's like, how have we not DDoSed the post office yet? Like, it would be so fucking easy to overwhelm it. Just everybody send a letter in one day, and all of a
I
sudden,
wish they would.
you know what I mean? Like, that made me laugh because it's super true. They're not prepared for anything.
No, and now they're going to have the election, so that could do it.
I think it could do it. But regarding the food shortages, man, I don't know. I've been saying it for a while, but you're right. I haven't really seen the empty shelves, but it makes me wonder how old the shit that's on the shelves is, you know?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, and I thought it was going to be really bad. So the fact that it hasn't gotten as crazy as I expected just goes to show the resiliency of the global economy. Really,
It's true. Well, it's like the government stopped, but nothing else did. So,
exactly. All right, shoot, are we live, man? Because I got someone at my door.
dude, absolutely, I'll hit the button and let my dog in because she is literally staring me in the face. Although I gotta find the button.
I'll be back in a second.
Oh, there we go. All right, now's probably a good time to intro FlexSeal. Thank you to FlexSeal who sent me a bunch of products. Super awesome. And introing the ad now. I'll edit this somehow. And that's the ad from FlexSeal. Thank you to Phil Swift, co-host of the podcast, I swear. Although I don't know if you'd technically approve of being on a podcast with like so much that might be illegal wherever the hell he is. I don't know.
Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother me either. Speaking of which, I guess I could have smoked a bowl, but it's better not to be super stoned talking about what we were talking about. I can't really remember where we left off, but we kind of did just jump into the deep end there on like the supply chain breakdown and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about the global economic supply chain and kind of how resilient the global economy is, even in the face of really kind of dystopic government reactions to COVID. So,
yeah, it's true. I wonder how the truckers' lives have changed.
I don't know. Honestly, they're probably working extra shifts.
Yeah, they must have to do a whole bunch of weird new hoopla. Poor guys. But you know, they still have work. A lot of people don't have work. It's a weird time.
Yeah. Well, I had to shut down my business for like 3 months, and that's actually what inspired me starting my podcast. I was so furious. I'm in California, so I had Gavin Newsom as the bane of my existence.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of memes about that guy.
He's pretty much the worst.
Dude, I could not imagine being in California with your personal opinions.
It's tough, dude. I'm trying to get out of here. I think I'm going to move to Puerto Rico next year.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Interesting. A tropical island.
Well, they have a 4% tax rate actually, so it's pretty cool.
It's kind of like Alberta. We have like a 5%, I think. It's like the lowest in Canada and Alberta.
Nice.
But I actually don't know if that applies like all across the board. You know what I mean? Like that's the provincial taxes. The feds might get us anyway. I don't fucking know.
Not paying taxes, huh?
Well, I'm not a businessman enough to tick those boxes with anything but zeros, my friend. You know
Good,
what
good.
I mean? Yeah, exactly.
You're living the life then.
I mean, I did do that intentionally for many, many years. It didn't work out for me very well. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but it was certainly a perspective.
What's that? Not paying taxes or being a businessman?
No, just kind of like aiming at financial disengagement so that you can fill those boxes in with zeros. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So agorism.
Basically. Not exactly by name at the time, but just
right.
being a jackass teenager, really.
I think most people go through that stage.
Yeah, it's like the Trailer Park Boys, you know. You watch that show now and you're like, oh, wow, it's kind of agorism, like 101. But you watch it back in the day and you're like, oh, wait a minute, they're trailer park criminals. Two different perspectives you can have. And I like that.
I got to check that out.
You've never seen the Trailer Park Boys?
No, my buddy always tells me it's amazing. So I gotta look it up.
That's kind of like a staple, yeah. It was always on the porn channel. We had like this one channel that was like the free for all. They would play porn late at night. It was Showcase, and Trailer Park Boys was on Showcase. And you know, back in the day, it was like everybody couldn't watch it because it was so, you know, above the bar of what's polite. But
sure, porn and trailer parks makes sense.
Yeah, it's a funny show though. Bubbles is my favorite, I think. I feel like if any of them are more like me, it's probably Bubbles, which is not something I'm embarrassed about at all. Bubbles is the best one, I think.
I wish I could give you feedback on this. I'll just take your word for it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. You might at some point watch an episode and be like, oh yeah, Bubbles is totally actually the best one. But maybe you'll disagree. Maybe you'll think the other guys are. Who knows?
I'll come back on to argue with you.
Sure. So what do you do for agorism? That's kind of mostly what I talk about, like the horticultural side of this stuff.
Gosh, I wouldn't say I'm much of one, honestly. I wish. I hope
so
to be.
Disappointing in California, man. You could have like fucking orange trees and stuff just in your backyard.
Yeah, no, well, is that illegal?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Oh, I guess I always look at agorism as kind of like skirting the law.
Oh no, man! Fuck, growing your own food is some way to get around all of the economy. Why would that not be agorism, right?
No, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm just not much of a green thumb. I've been watching you on the chat, so I'm learning as I go.
Not everybody is meant to do the same shit in life. I understand that, you know.
For sure. Yeah, I'm a finance guy. Growing stuff is kind of like I can't keep a house plant alive, so.
I am pretty stoked about what's going on. I feel like I should just unplug all these cords and walk and show, but I don't actually know how.
Go for it, man.
All right. It might not work, but it might. Fuck, hold on. Everything's going to fall down.
Give us the tour.
So this is the update. You got to tell me what you can see because I can't see fuck all.
Okay.
So, I mean.
I see a lot of lovely ladies.
This is one that I just got a free seed of, and it's not really trained very much. It used to be trained, but now it's just kind of like free for all. I don't really tend to it because this one is my baby. I don't know what you're seeing right here. Fucking okay, there we go.
Yeah, I see the root of it.
I'm trying to show like that the uprights are going along these branches I tied down because it's finally starting to do what I was planning, and I'm pretty excited. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, no, I see it really clearly. It's beautiful.
Hopefully it will survive a bunch of cuttings. That's the plan. She's the mom. And then I'll have a whole bunch more of exactly that. Kind of like, well, not exactly like Dolly the sheep, because that would be a whole sheep. But a plant, you know, the clone is the exact same plant. It's weird.
What
It's
are the
like cutting
laws
off.
like in Canada?
For me, I'm allowed personal home growing, and technically, it is extraordinarily easy for me to have friends that just sign a piece of paper saying I'm doing it for them. So the number limits are kind of like a fuck around. You know, if
Yeah.
somebody wants to come be an asshole, they will. But for now, you know, I have four plants, and but I mean, you know, that one I just showed you where all those branches are tied down and all of the uprights are coming. That's like that plant alone has over 80 colas on it, which is like that other plant only has 12, I think. So it just depends how you know, how you prepare them.
How many ounces will you get out of all that?
I have no idea. That kind of depends on like your lighting, and I have kind of piddly ass lighting that I've just acquired over the years out of like my garage and stuff. A bunch of LEDs. So they are pretty bright. LEDs are strong, but I don't know. I don't know. It has a lot of work to do, you know, like when you have that many coals, it's got to spread and build for so much long. I have no idea, man. It could be a lot.
Do you have to move it outdoors at some point, or will you have room?
I got to make an indoor flower thing. It might go outdoors in the next summer if I keep clones going, but that's like the ideal situation. Things might screw up. And also, I don't even know where I'll be next summer. So,
Oh, you thinking about moving too?
no, I never think about moving. It just sort of happens to me.
Living that hippie lifestyle.
I wish I wasn't, man. I wish I wasn't. Fucking work has been rough, especially in COVID. But it wasn't really COVID changed literally nothing for me. I've been living COVID lifestyle for like a long time. Ever since I fell off that roof, I've kind of been in quarantine, you know?
What I remember reading about it, but tell us more about what happened.
Oh, fuck. Way back in 2016, you know, I shouldn't even tell the story again. I just broke both my legs falling off a roof. I've told this story like 100 times, I swear to God.
Oh, then don't go for that. But how are you feeling?
It's good. I'm actually, you know, I've been doing manual labor jobs again. It's not doctor recommended, but it's been getting money. And, you know, I spent like a solid year just specifically looking for these kinds of jobs that I can do where it's not labor. And nothing pans out, you know, you make no money and life is hard.
Yeah.
And then you take a job that's hard and you're not even supposed to do, but you make some money and life is less hard. So fuck, I don't know, man.
Are you staying off roofs, I hope?
Yes, I'm terrified of heights now. That is the thing. Yeah, some asshole early on. Fuck, that was like a couple years ago now, but back actually, yeah, that's a relevant point. Back when I wasn't even this good on my feet, some asshole put me up on a roof, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing that again." Never showed up again. He was mad about that too. Some people are retarded.
He probably didn't believe you.
Nobody really did. I mean, I don't know. That's actually a funny topic because you mention this stuff and people always take it in at their perspective, like whatever injuries they've had, they think it's like that, or I can't even describe it, but it's weird. Some people are competitive, some people don't buy it, some people it's life is fucked.
Yeah, I haven't had
Being
any
like
major injuries,
unvisibly injured is weird, you know.
for sure. Well, I think I'm psychologically injured from lockdown, so I feel you.
Everybody is, you know, everybody's walking around with some sort of crutches.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing, you know. You go to physio and you realize that everybody else has some sort of like thing that they go to physio for.
For sure.
But
yeah,
you know.
I need physio for my brain.
You mean actually exercise?
that too, but I mean more like deep therapy. I think all the
That's kind of what I
government.
mean, man. Fuck
Okay.
therapy. Go clean out a barn and lift a bunch of anvils around for a while, and that's therapy. I swear to God, it fixed me, man.
That helps a lot. I agree. I mean, if I didn't go to the gym like 4 or 5 times a week, I would be totally crazy right now.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah, I got to, man. I like legit. My anxiety is so bad. If I don't work out, my life basically screeches to a halt.
It's kind of what I was just saying. It totally fixed me doing all that activity.
Nice.
Just nice to be up and around, you know.
For sure.
Gym. I've never really been a gym dude except for in physio. Other than that, just work. But now I can only do other kinds of work. But I can't even do it. You know, I don't have anything on my resume that says I can do that kind of work. Nobody would hire me. I don't seem like I'm interested in sitting down, like at all. I can't fake it. I don't know. I shouldn't describe it as if it's not something that isn't completely self-imposed.
Well, I'm sure opportunities will open up for you.
They kind of been they have been. Fuck, words are hard.
Hey, dude, I hate to do this to you again, but my handyman is at the door.
Yep, I'll pause it. And that actually decided to just talk about the plants here. So I'm gonna figure out how to switch my camera around, so that I can see what you're seeing. There we go. It's plugged in. Okay, so in here, it's just a random bunch of house plants that I took little bits off, and you know, it's a nice place for them to grow roots. And these were from the actual garden. They're strawberry runners. Those are hopefully gonna grow roots. Basically, fuck, I had this here because Winnie was sitting in it, and also it was in the way. What I did is I set up these shelves. I used to have just the one. That was very, very good upgrade. But then last night, I figured out that I can use the extra one, just like slid onto the poles. And I had this other one like in a garage, and it fucking worked perfect.
Damn, son, you fancy.
Yeah, it was actually extremely like fluke, you know, but I can pull that poly down and block the light. It's white on one side and black on the other, because you don't want any light to go in or out.
So you said that you ran out of pot. How do you run out of pot when you're growing? Just like in between cycles of production, I assume?
I mean, I've never really had a stable enough address to produce anything.
Oh, gotcha.
More or less. I mean, I still really don't. But this is going extremely well. This one's my favorite. If I can get a good angle here, you can see that it's going upwards along this thing that I tied down horizontally, and I'm pretty excited for what that looks like soon. If it can like bush out to like this tall, like that, you know, that's gonna be freaking cool. This thing used to be just like that. I had it all tied down. That's why these things look like that. They just went straight up again as soon as I put them back in the light.
Wow. Yeah, I think you're going to get a good amount of production off of that. My buddy had some plants in his backyard, and he got a ton, so you should be all right. I mean,
one of the cooler things, actually, I could this is a pretty good thing I could show you how to do. It's like the easiest thing possible. It's a cloning bucket. See these like hydroponic bead things? They're it's like, do you know what these are?
I think so.
Anyway, they're what I would get if I were you, and then you just fill it with water. And where's my fucking cord? Over here, I got a cord that goes in, and it's an aquarium heater. Gets it at the nice, you know, like 22, 21 degrees.
That's really cool.
It's just an air bubbler. So it's oxygenated water. And what I do is I just take the tray and I stick the tray in the beads, and they just float on the top.
That is a trip, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it works really good. I can't really show you any roots yet because those are just brand new in there, but I could do it to all of these, and it would be like a really good idea, but it's a lot of work. For now, I just water them with a cup of water, right?
And what's the advantage of them being in there? You just don't have to water it?
Well, the advantage of them being in here is it concentrates all the light.
No. I mean the like the hydroponic beads thing.
Oh, that thing?
Yeah,
they grew roots better with that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I haven't started any seeds in there. I'm interested to try that. I'm not sure if I'll risk it. Hey, Pooh. All right, I got to figure out how to switch this camera around. That's not the right button.
It's a nice tree log you got there.
See that piece of grass growing out of it? You might not. It's too small.
Out of the log?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
That was totally crazy. That piece of grass went all the way from the bottom up the middle. Not like a crack on the side. Just went
That is
right the
wild.
fuck up. Me and my brother couldn't believe that. That was like,
That's amazing.
yeah. So there's your tour of the garden. I probably shouldn't have shown all of that, but whatever. You know, I'm medical. There's always been that, like, ever since I got injured, that was like why I started. And I'm
Yeah,
kind of like, I'm ahead of the game a little bit in Canada because like they didn't legalize it till fucking, I don't even know, like 2018, but I fell off the roof in 2016 and I just started growing because like medicine is expensive
for
and
sure.
I had no money because I had no job. So I just got some seeds and I started to grow because I was like, what are they going to do? They're going to arrest me and send me to jail, like with broken, like casts, literally. It's like, it was a little bit ridiculous.
Right.
Um, and so here I am later, and like I've done it like 4 or 5 times. I've had to like tear it all down a bunch of times,
Yeah.
and
Looks like you're getting a handle on it now.
it helps to just have better seeds. Honestly, I started with not very good stuff, and now I got good genetics, and they're doing most of the work for me.
Nice.
Um, that's that's more or less what I need to do. I'm not really even aiming at growing lots and lots of flower. I'm not trying to produce actual marijuana. I'm just building genes. Like it's gonna put out seeds, hopefully,
Oh
uh,
wow.
down the road, so that I will have just an infinite supply, like you're saying, because it is ridiculous that I would run out of something that like is pretty much something I need to like operate.
For sure. Yeah.
Um,
Got to keep that supply chain intact.
yeah, that's how I was introduced to all this stuff. I was sitting around in a wheelchair, just thinking, you know, what can I do that I won't have a boss? How am I gonna make this easier? Because this
Right.
is not gonna be easy. And originally, that was like looking up, you know, random crazy apocalypse prepper, like. But that also that wasn't unhelpful. They're not wrong. Beans, brass, and bullion is a good basis.
For sure. Just got to
Um,
add some bud in there.
exactly. Yeah, bud's a decent alternative, and also literally hemp, man. Fucking this stuff is rope. I don't know how to make it into rope, but I get a lot of actual like fuck. I don't even know what you would call it. Like the fibers that they would have used to make like the best. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not unhappy to be growing it. It's an amazing plant and
Hell yeah.
it's legal. I don't know why you wouldn't. It's fun.
Have any of those actually produced smokable?
I've done it before with other ones. These ones currently have not. They're clone
Okay.
mothers, so I'm not gonna flower them. I'm just gonna take parts off them, grow them up to a different size, and then flower those. Because this is what I popped a seed in the dirt, and that made this plant, right? But all the
Hmm.
clones are slightly different. They just have like, I don't know, it's something about their DNA. So if you take cuttings off them, they're not as good as the other one, right? Um, so those are the ones that I would flower and then chop down and then burn, right? Uh,
Gotcha.
it's kind of like the whole. I don't know if it's unique to cannabis, but it's definitely a special part of cannabis that you have to like plant around males and female plants and like producing flower and seed. And I don't know about hemp, but I'm sure hemp is a thing. And I've actually recently learned that lots of hemp people are actually just growing CBD. So hemp is also a medicine. I didn't think of it like that. I was thinking like they're growing it for like cords and rope and like sails and canvas and shit. I don't know. Um,
I know you can get a lot of uses out of it, so it is an amazing plan. It's fucking criminal that it was criminalized for so long.
I had a conversation with one of the people that is like through all of the legal systems and like has fought all of those legal battles. And the the most criminal aspect of it, honestly, is that the medical patients have no access to a medical product that isn't taxed to the nuts. Like she was saying that for every 7 grams of weed or like 7 seeds or 7 plants or whatever the fuck per item, it's like $1 of taxes. So if I'm paying $10 for 10 grams, $3 goes to her. You know,
That's so crazy, man. Has the street price gone up or down since it became more legal?
everybody I know that was a black market is still in the black market, and they haven't started making any less.
Wow. All right. So that answers that then.
Yeah.
So the regulation is basically still keeping at a prohibition level.
It's actually extremely wild to watch. Some people have the licenses, but I certainly wouldn't be going through the paperwork for it, and they make you like pay to do it. It's typical, you know.
Yeah.
It's something that you got to fight for, you know. Your rights are what you're willing to defend.
Exactly. I say that all the time. I'm like, the government will take as much from you as you allow. So
Yeah.
stop letting them.
I actually might have reminded me where this shit cut off before, because my excuse is that medical, like I can't afford it to have enough. So how can they tell me I'm not allowed to grow it? Like, there have actually been court cases where the judge has decided that it's a right to have access to this shit. So I'm like, not in a totally unbased way, thinking I have a reason to do this, you know?
Yeah.
But
I agree. I mean, it doesn't mean that the state still wouldn't fuck with you, but they
exactly,
shouldn't.
exactly. It's all like comes down to whether or not somebody wants to fuck with you and how
Yeah.
much that they're going to fuck with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's probably a good place to wrap up.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Hey, it was great talking to you. I'm sure we'll have to do this again when things get even crazier, as they seem to always do.
They will. I'll check in with you soon. Check me out at Liberty Lock Pod on Twitter and Liberty Lockdown Podcast. You could just search Liberty Lockdown, iTunes, Google, Spotify, all that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Everybody go check it out. I mean,
appreciate it,
not that I have very many people listening, but I appreciate all of you regardless.
exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, brother. I'll talk to you soon. All right.